All right, everyone. It's been a long time since we've seen you. Uh, about 5 months, I think. We've been in quarantine and other crap for COVID, but the NFL is starting to kick up again. So we've got some news and some stuff to break down. The pandemic has been hitting the United States pretty hard and other parts of the world too. Sports have been canceled, rescheduled, postponed. Bubbles have come up in cities for the NHL and for NBA, and they seem to be working. So we're gonna go through some of what's going on and some new stuff that's happening with the NFL. So here we go. For starters, the preseason isn't happening. There's no games. They're strictly doing practices in their facilities. There are no joint practices. So now we are at the mercy of beat writers to know what's going on because no fans are allowed. So, Jimmy, what's your take on everyone kind of not being allowed to see what's really happening?
Well, it's crazy too because a lot of the teams are not allowing the reporters to report everything that's going on. So, I mean, basically, if you're a fan, like you said, you're just going to have to look at little snippets. I know some of the guys that cover the Bears, they're not allowed to say what was happening specifically, so they're using like gifs and things like that to kind of explain what was going on. I mean, I get it, but they have to know how starved we are for football. They got to give us something.
We're starving for any kind of sports. I mean, it's nice to have baseball and the NBA and the NHL back, but there's just something about seeing, pads hit and helmets cracking, football flying around that just kind of makes you happy and makes you smile. So let's hope that nothing bad happens like the Miami Marlins or the St. Louis Cardinals where we have a whole team go down with the, COVID positive tests. So fingers crossed on that. So let's talk about what they're doing for the COVID prep. So I've watched a very good video and a fact sheet about what the NFL is doing. They have a temperature check point at every facility entrance. You're only allowed to go into the facility when you're supposed to. Guys, they're sanitizing everything. They're working out in groups where it's not a big group of people. So I mean, they're really doing their best to make sure the NFL can happen. I think that if they could, they should do like bubble cities, but I don't know if that's even possible because an NFL team carries anywhere from 80 players plus staff and coaches and everyone else. It'd be really hard to have a bunch of hotels available to staff that many people. But if they could do it, that'd be great. What's your take on this whole COVID prep and everything, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you got to what we can do. The Bubble City, I think, would be an interesting idea. I know we've talked offline about if you were to just set up like new conferences for this year where it's kind of local, so you can limit some of the travel. But yeah, I mean, it would just be a logistic nightmare. I mean, the logistics and the scheduling is hard enough every year, and then trying to figure out, like you said, I mean, you figure there's 53 guys on a team, then you got all the staff, then you got your practice squad people. And I don't know if they're cutting down to 53 or they're gonna, keep it at 60 or 70 in case there's COVID, outbreak, and you gotta have people, kind of hop in. I don't know. It's one of those weird things, like you said, like NHL works, NBA works, but I mean, NBA, there's 12 guys on the team.
Right.
So I mean, they're putting each team on a floor, and that's not going to work out for any NFL club.
Yeah, and the NBA has been interesting because they've done it very well, and they've had very few, if any, positive tests. I know guys tested positive before they got in the bubble, so they had to quarantine before entering in. I know listening to hockey, like Eddie Ochek was going to be going to, I think, Edmonton to do the national broadcast, and he had to quarantine, I think, for 10 days or four or 10 days, something like that, in his room. Couldn't leave his room before he could even go do a broadcast. So there's leagues that are doing it right and they're having success and they're not having positive tests, and you have the MLB who, a bunch of guys go out to the bar after a game and next thing you know the whole team's infected. So it's going to happen. These are millionaires. They don't like to, just stay at home. But I think for the sake of the sport, if the NFL decides to come out with some rules saying, hey, go to the game, go to practice, go home, do not go out to dinner, do not go to the bar, don't go to the club, play video games at home with your buddies, do whatever you got to do, but just don't go into the public where you could get infected. I think they could possibly get through the season. I hope. God, I hope. Let's get to some of the deals that happened while we were on break. Patrick Mahomes has become the first $500 million player in any major sport. Now, he's not going to get all that money. I realize that because there's no way he's going to win an MVP for the next 10 years, a Super Bowl for the next 10 years, and a Super Bowl MVP for the next 10 years. Those are all stipulations in his contract to hit the 500 million. Realistically, it's a 10-year contract, but I think it's more of like a 6-year contract or a 5-year contract with options available. I can't imagine him being there for 10 years. I mean, he could be. He could be the next Tom Brady and be there for 20 years. But what's your take on his contract? I don't see him staying there the whole time because I think the way the NFL is going, he'll want more money eventually, and he's not going to want to have the stipulations of I need to win an MVP every year.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think essentially it's just going to be like a 5-year deal. I do see him probably staying there, um, his whole career. I think he'll probably, like I said, re-up, I don't know, 5 years or so, and pretty much be like, yeah, just strike all the crazy stipulations to hit certain things. I mean, you could throw like $1 million bonus on an MVP or something like that, but to get, like you said, all those stipulations every year for 10 years in order to max out. Um, yeah, something I thought was weird is, I mean, granted, he's getting a lot of money, but I thought he would have a lot more guaranteed than what he got.
What
I know,
what did,
like,
what was his final guaranteed amount? I don't even know.
I don't know. It wasn't that much though. I thought it was like 120.
Wow, on a $500 million contract, he's only
Yeah,
guaranteed 120.
I thought it was something like it was 120, maybe 140. It was something like boiled down to like basically a 3-year guaranteed contract, maybe 4. I'm
Wow.
sure you're looking it up right now. But yeah, I thought it'd be more. I mean, because Jared Goff and Carson Wentz got like 110 and 120 on their deals, and it wasn't this monster $500 million thing. I mean, I guess it's like you said, it's cool that to hit that number, but you're not going to get that number. So,
Well, I'm reading right now. His deal is $63 million fully guaranteed. That's it.
so no, that can't be right. 63. What is that?
60,
2 years then?
$63 million fully guaranteed, though plenty more is practically guaranteed and 141 million in injury guarantees. Hold on, I'm reading how the whole contract works.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're starting to do more of that injury guarantee, which
Yeah.
kind of throws off some of the language.
Oh, here you go. So he'll make in 2020 a $10 million signing bonus and only $825,000 in base salary
Yeah,
just for this
I
year.
think it's
That's
his
his
5th year option though.
right. That's still on his deal. So
Yeah.
his real money kicks in 2021. He'll make 990,000 in base salary with a $21 million roster bonus, and then yeah. So in 2021 he'll pull in 22 million, and then 2022 it's 28 million. 2023 is when it really gets up there. He pulls in 40 million, 40 million, 40 million, 40 million, 59. 2027 is 59 million if he's on the team by then. So in the next
Yeah.
7 years, $59 million for 1 year. That's his base salary and his roster bonus. So that's not even including incentives. That's just to make the team, which he
Yeah,
will.
so that'll probably get tore up like 2025
Oh
and then
yeah.
do another 5-year deal or something like that. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, which is crazy because I think right before the draft they had um, something like it was like $37 in cap space.
Yeah. Yeah. They had
Something
to
like
clean
yeah,
up. They had to
like
clean. They had to clean it
yeah.
up to get him.
And they signed all kinds of people and everyone's like, well, apparently the cap is fake. There's no way you go from 37 and then you sign, 3 Pro Bowlers. So
Well, and they don't have the luxury. Do they have the luxury tax like the Major League Baseball? They don't, do they? Do they get a penalty if they go over the cap, or they can't go over the cap?
now they can't go over the cap.
They can't go over the cap. So
Yeah, it's a hard cap.
it's a hard cap. You had some other deals that happened here. You want to go through those?
Yeah, so George Kittle, the second best tight end, he got a 5-year deal, 74 million, 40 million guaranteed. I mean, he's a monster.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Mahomes. Kelsey got a new extension. Basically, looked at that Kittle deal and got an extension the next day. He got 4 for 57 with 28 guaranteed, which I thought was a little low, but it's more. I mean, this is Kittle's big kind of contract, the
Right.
second, and this is Kelsey's third, I think. So,
Yeah.
and plus you gave all the money to Mahomes. They signed Chris Jones to a big deal, so somebody's got to take a pay cut to stay on there.
And
And
George
then
Kittle. George Kittle's younger too, I think. So I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm
Kelsey's I
saying. I
think
think this is
30.
Kittle's
Yeah.
second contract because he was
Yeah, he's only
Uh,
26.
yeah, because he was drafted in the 5th round, so
Yeah,
he didn't have a 5th year option or anything.
sure.
And then the Jamal Adams saga is finally over. He got traded to the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle gave up a 20, a 21, and a 22 first rounder, a 22 third rounder, and a starting safety in Bradley McDougal. And yeah, so that's what the Jets got. And then Seattle got Jamal Adams and a 2022 fourth rounder.
I think they overreached on that. That's an awful lot for a safety. I mean, granted, he's a great safety. He's not Khalil Mack. He's not rushing the passer all the time. I mean, that's Khalil Mack type trade value. And I don't see it in a safety. But hey, I don't make the deals; they do.
Yeah, with him, I wanted him in the draft, which is
Oh yeah,
instead of Mitch, which I know 3 for his safety is really high. But yeah, I agree. I mean, he's not even, and you hate to differentiate between the safeties, but like a free safety like Eddie Jackson, that's a ball hawk and things like that. And Jamal Adams is a strong safety, so he'll be playing in the box. I
right.
mean, that's a lot to give up for a box safety.
Well, plus, I mean, what's the shelf life of him realistically? I mean, he's basically a linebacker. If he's going to be up in the
Right.
box, he's going to be getting smashed by a running back and an offensive lineman. What's his shelf life look like? Especially if now he's playing in the NFC West, so he might last a little bit longer. He's not going against the Patriots and the Dolphins and all them anymore, so he might make a longer career out of it. Um, let's talk about some people who are opting out. So their list was way too long to go through of all the guys who are opting out. I tried to find a nice, easy, straight list of everyone, but they want to separate it by team and do paragraphs. I just wanted a list, so I said screw it. So several players across the league have opted out. Eddie Eddie Goldman opted out for the Bears, so it's going to leave a not a terrible hole in our defense, but it's not going to be very good. It's going to be good, but it's not going to be great up front. We needed that extra body to do some rotations. Um, so I hope that with him leaving, it doesn't hurt us too bad. But I understand why he's leaving if he's got health issues or his family has health issues or he's got younger kids or whatever. I totally understand it. I respect his. He's taking either what I think it's a stipend. I think they get like a portion of their salary or something like that to opt out. So he's not getting paid whatever he was going to get paid. So that kind of stinks. But he's making a decision for his family, which is the important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably is the most underrated player on the Bears defense. I think it's going to be a huge hole. I mean, we see when he was hurt kind of before, they just gashed us. I mean, because you can move whoever you want in to kind of fill in for him, but nobody on the team is his caliber because he's probably top 3, top 5 defensive tackle.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're looking at more of like a nose tackle. So I mean, I think that's gonna if there is a season, which I hope so. I mean, I think that's gonna be a big hole, so they're gonna have to try and do something. I don't know, move Nichols down or somebody to try and fill in, or maybe look at on the free agent pile like Snacks Harrison is out there. I
Snacks. You
mean,
gotta
he's
get a
a
guy.
yeah,
Gotta get a guy named Snacks.
yeah. I mean, so he's a big body that can help plug up the hole. But the problem is there's a lot of those big linemen that are opting out due to like if they get COVID, it can really kill them because I mean their bodies aren't built to take on all that stuff. So there's a lot of defensive tackles that are dropping out. So I think Snacks is probably going to get snatched up before the Bears even kick the tires on him.
Probably. And it's interesting. They say they're built differently and they're bigger. It's amazing watching a guy, when he retires, like Jeff Saturday when he retired, or Joe Thomas when he retired.
Marshall Yanda.
You look at them, you're like, who is that person? Because that's not who they looked like when they played. It's
Right.
amazing how much they force themselves to gain that weight to maintain that size to make sure they can play the game, and then they retire and they go back to what they probably would be had they not played football, which is just it's unbelievable the transformation they can make.
Well, it's funny because like the linemen, like you said, they've been packing on the weight for years and years and years. So as soon as they're done, they shed it, and the skill players just blow up. Because now they can, now they can finally eat. So you'll see like
Right.
Sean King, he got like 350 pounds, the former Bucks QB, and it's like it's funny, like you said, just the difference of once they're retired, the changes their bodies go through.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Tom Brady retires and gains like 600 pounds because he's finally able to eat sugar.
Yeah, right.
He's
Sugar
done.
and strawberries.
No more avocado ice cream, just regular
Right.
good ice cream. All right, so we have some other news in the XFL. They went bankrupt, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. I think they had a good chance of actually sustaining. I think because they had a good product on the field for a little while there. Well, an okay product, not a great product, but it was spring football. We had helmets hitting in the spring, which is great. So The Rock bought them at bankruptcy auction for $15 million with a group of his partners, one of them being his ex-wife and other people. So Jimmy and I kind of have our own take on it. I think we're pretty close on what we think. Um, I feel that they should take this league and make it like a minor league. I don't know if you can have that many teams or maybe have a group of teams are collective to one and then they have a bidding war and who gets the players. But I mean, the minor leagues don't exist in the NFL. I mean, you have the G League and the NBA, you have the minor leagues in hockey, you have the minor leagues in baseball, but the NFL has no place to get kids or guys who wouldn't be an NFL starter right off the bat to go. So either you get cut or you go on a practice squad, and that's it. So I think if they could figure out a way to incorporate the XFL into a partnership with the NFL, I think it'd be a great thing. And you could have like a taxi squad right now with the pandemic going on. You could have, the Chicago Rush. Well, that was the AFL team. Some team here in Chicago or some team in a warm city that's a practice squad team essentially that just practices against each other, gets ready for the call up to whatever team they need to go to.
I agree. I mean, ever since, and I don't even know when that was, early 2000s, when NFL Europe folded. I mean,
Hmm.
that was really the only developmental league that the NFL has ever had. So I don't know why they wouldn't scoop in and just. I mean, 15 million is nothing. So I don't know why they wouldn't just scoop in and be like, hey, we're gonna rebrand this. I mean, because they were signing guys from XFL anyway. Rebrand it and keep XFL or whatever you want to do. But then, like you said, make it a developmental league, and then now you run the year. I mean, they pretty much already do anyway with the draft and free agents and stuff like that. Like you said, pretty much all year there'll be football, and I don't understand why you wouldn't want to take that share of the market to just add to what you got going on. And then, like we talked about with the G League, I mean, so the G League is interesting because now they're going to be paying like high school kids and things like that instead of going to college. You go to the G League, you make like 125,000, which you probably make that if you're a top college recruit anyway. Since they're giving you the bag of money.
Yeah,
Um,
blue chip style.
right, exactly. So I mean, I don't know if that could be something in the future. Um, like if you go, and it's kind of weird because I know they have like the 2 year rule. You have to do like 2 years in the in college just so you're not drafting an 18-year-old so he gets his legs broken and then he's done.
Right.
So it might be something like you said, like if it's a senior or something like that. But more so, I would think like if you go, like you said, the practice squad. So these guys that go undrafted for whatever reason, then they're just hustling, trying to get drafted, hoping and praying they'll get on the practice squad. There's so many of them that you can make the whole XFL just out of those guys, have them play, um, get some real coaching behind them, and then you don't know what you find.
Sure. You could easily find probably a backup wide receiver, backup quarterback, running back. I mean, there's so many. Think of all the running backs that do not get drafted every year because there's just so many of them. I mean, there's for every one Saquon Barkley, there's 50 guys behind them who don't ever see the field again. They play their 4 years in college or 3 years in college and try to get drafted and they don't get picked up, or guys who get picked up in the seventh round and get cut. There's running backs are, unfortunately one of the positions in the NFL that are kind of thrown by the wayside now because they're so abused and their life is so short now. They know it's a pass happy league, but look at what Derrick Henry did last year. I mean, or last 2 years, like 300 rushes. I mean, that is not sustainable on a body, especially his size. So, I
Right.
mean, that's like, imagine, I mean, he weighs basically what I weigh. I mean, there's no way I could run the ball 300 times. I mean, I'm not even in shape anymore, but pandemic got me bad. Ugh. We can talk about some other stuff. We don't really. That's pretty much the end of our planned stuff. So now we can just kind of talk about let's talk about the Bears. I mean, let's talk about our Bears. We need to pay a little bit of attention to them because they're getting through training camp. We've only got about 2 weeks left until we actually start seeing games. I believe the first game is September 10th, Thursday night. So it's coming up. It's coming up quick. It's crazy that it's coming up that fast, and we haven't really seen anything. Usually we've got our itch and we've been scratching it for a few weeks, and now it's just it's just going to be one big rash because we all want to watch everything at one. I might not leave the TV on the first Sunday of football. I might be flipping around, even though I don't have cable anymore. I'll just keep bouncing through Cody and find a game to watch. But I did watch, and I know you and I talked about this offline. The little hype video they did for the Bears, where they showed the defense having a day, and it was pretty much all tight end receptions in the. I mean, you think they're focusing on it a little bit there, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I know if you listened or watched our old videos, I wasn't a very big fan of the Komet pick, and that was just where he was drafted, not as him as a player. I just thought they could have got him later. Yeah, I think um, him and I guess Jimmy Graham is supposed to be a monster now. According to whatever reports are coming out of training camp, trickling out of there. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see one, like you said, just to see what's going on because we haven't seen anything at all. All we're getting is, Mitch has had really two great practices back to back, which he didn't have at all last year. So now he's the front runner for QB, and I want to see it with my own eyes, and I want to see like something else besides, I want to see hitting, and I want to see them actually doing something. And that's why I would have loved to see the preseason games to see him go out and actually go against somebody else. Because I mean, he's not playing against the ones most likely. So
No, and 7-on-7 only gets you so much. And seeing the little clips of it, I mean, you see Foles is throwing the deep ball pretty well. I mean, if he's got a leg up, that's it because Mitch cannot throw the deep ball right now. He doesn't have the mechanics to do it. He's a 15 to 25 yard, 30-yard passer at most. I mean, Foles can drop it on 55 yards downfield on a dime. So, I mean, again, like we said before the pandemic, when they just signed Foles and we're like, all right, that's our quarterback. I mean, the writing's on the wall. You're going to pay that guy that much money to be a backup? Not a chance. So while they keep saying that, Matt Nagy keeps doing his best, well, it's a competition and, we're going to see who comes out on top. To me, it's been Nick Foles' game since he signed.
yeah, I think they. I seen an interesting thing from one of the reporters, and they said that all last year Nagy kept saying that he wanted Mitch to be a point guard for the offense, run it and things like that, and it just never happened. And they asked Bill Lazor about Nick Foles, and the first thing he said is he's like a point guard out there. So literally apples to apples. I think he's like you said, he's got a leg up. You don't pay somebody that much money um, to come in and just sit behind a guy that honestly I don't think they have any trust in. I mean, would it be nice if he were to turn it around and be like an MVP or something like that? Obviously, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's shown that it can't happen. Like you said, Foles can hit the deep and Foles can throw left. So I mean, he already got Mitch beat there. So
Yeah, it's not that we hope that Mitch. I mean, honestly, I would love to see Mitch be the quarterback. I would think that'd be a great story. To be, he had the rough first year with under John Fox, and then his next 2 years with Nagy, and it looked like his first year was going great, and then all of a sudden, his second year with Nagy was just like, what happened? So if Mitch pulls it together and has a decent year, great. And Nick Foles, I'm sure, and from what I understand, those guys both respect each other. They aren't vindictive about this. They're, may the best man win, but they're helping each other. I mean, if Nick Foles can help Mitch be a better quarterback and he's okay with being the backup for the time, I'm fine with that. I mean, they didn't resign Mitch, so odds are he's gone after this year, no matter what. Unless he completely balls out and has 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards, I don't see him getting picked up again, at least by us. So that leaves you with Foles, and if they get a high pick next year, possibly drafting a quarterback again.
yeah, I think they're going to have to do that because I mean, really, they painted themselves in the corner because Foles can opt out, and then we will have no quarterbacks on the roster
Hey,
starting the league year
don't
next year.
don't leave Tyler Bray out. don't forget about Tyler
Well,
Bray.
the practice squad, Tyler Bray, he's always in there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
maybe
I
they'll
agree.
resign
I
Chase
mean,
Daniel.
there you go. He's making that money in Detroit now.
Yeah, highest paid
But no,
backup in history.
right. I agree. Like if Mitch was somehow to pull it, turn it around completely, and like you said, just ball, then yeah, I mean, I would be all for it. But I think the problem is I think he would probably just show just enough, like Cutler, just enough to say, you know what, okay, I think we got something, and then you stop looking, and then the wheels fall off completely, and then you've either messed up a top 10 pick on a quarterback, or you missed on free agents or something like that, and then you're stuck again.
Yeah, and what's kind of nice this year is we're not really seeing the kicker problem. You know, we're hiding how terrible Mitch is by talking about the kicker every day. So I feel like they're at least being open and honest about, if it's Mitch's game or it's Nick's game. They don't know yet. I really think they don't know yet. Now that could be all BS for all we know. Matt Nagy may have, when they signed him, said, "Okay, Nick's our guy. Let's just tell the media that Mitch is doing great, and we'll see what happens." But I don't know. We'll see in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, God willing, an outbreak doesn't hit the NFL. I mean, they've been doing okay so far. Let's just talk about a little bit about what's going on in our lives since no one's seen us for a while. I mean, we've talked to each other, but uh, I got a swimming pool, so I'll be doing a poolside one of these nights. I'll put the lights on. I'll go floating in the pool with
Still
my
haven't got
laptop.
an invite, guys.
Well,
Just so you know.
just so everyone's aware, we just finished the landscaping today. So now we're finally in the stages where I think my yard is acceptable to invite people over. It's not a mud pit anymore. God, it was awful. What's going on with you, Jimmy? Anything new happening in your life, or pretty much the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Just working from home still, so that's nice. Kids are starting school on Monday. Doing the full remote, so got to set them up with a little work learning area.
Yeah,
Other than that, yeah, not much has changed.
yeah. We not we. My wife had great planning on her part by ordering 2 desks for the kids and put them in our kitchen, so she can work at the desk at our kitchen table, and the kids have their own desks to work at. Mila will be getting an iPad from school, I believe, and Asher a Chromebook. So good news is they're both fluent in both those things, so they don't really need a whole lot. They don't really need a whole lot of help. But they were supposed to start school on Monday as well in class, and then we just found out yesterday they're going full remote. So the school district and all the parents are kind of scrambling right now because we were all planning on having our kids in a classroom, but the Illinois Department of Public Health has moved the target a little bit, made it a little bit harder for everyone to get back together, which is fine. I mean, I'd rather than be safe than sorry. All right, well, that is it for us tonight, everyone. I am exhausted, as you can probably tell. My energy is not very high today. It's been a long, long week. Maybe next week when we do this again, I'll have a little more energy. I won't be so late because my kids keep me awake too long. But for right now, that's it for us. We will see you next time on the corner. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and go Bears.